More and more people in Canada are starting to be concerned about the erasure of our history and the fact that many people want to decolonize our history and, in fact, lie about it. George Burger was on this show a number of years ago. He is an executive, but he was concerned about Sir John A. Macdonald in Kingston, and he had started a group to try to get Sir John A. Macdonald back. So he's with me now. He's back because I want to ask you, has it gotten any better over the last few years, or if that indeed worse? I mean, in Toronto, they got rid of certain streets and replaced it with names that no one knows about from Ghana, which is not a very good society there. How are we doing in Canada?
One thing leads directly to another. You bring up the Sir John Project. We called it the Honor Sir John Project.
Right.
And the purpose of it was to really push back against the renaming of Queen's University Law School, which used to be the Sir John A. Macdonald Law School. And they had, or may still have, a very progressive vice chancellor. And at the time, they had an extremely progressive board that went along with the most outrageously biased study ever conducted, which determined that Sir John was a genocide heir and that his name did not belong.
Those progressives.
Well, but it was impossible for me to take that sitting down because I looked deeply into it and I found out that there were severe problems in the entire process.
Right.
And my intention was really to name and shame the directors and the trustees, because these are, at the time you had Jim Leach, who was on there as chancellor. And I knew Jim Leach back in the business days. And the fact is, I never imagined him to be that kind of person.
No, I spoke to Jim, and I know he said we couldn't do anything about it. The political forces were just too strong.
Well, there was a massive turnover on the board as well. After my stories came out, after I shone a light on what was going on there, and I heard directly from someone at Queen's that they chose not to rename it because of the pressure that I put on them. So there was something to be gained.
So that's good. Now we're hearing, though, that we had a historian on a few weeks ago about Picton, and the town of Picton, where Sir John A. had his first law practice, and they had a statue up, and people are saying, well, he is a racist, genocide, and so they had to take it down. So it doesn't look, you're successful because you're a successful person, but we still in Canada are ashamed of our roots.
I think that very few people are willing to step up and be proud of our roots. And part of it has to do with the fact that over the last 30 years, there's been a tremendous erosion in our education system. And we have 2 generations of people who have not learned history, they have not learned civics, they've learned a mishmash of ideas under a heading called social studies, and they have no foundation and no basis against which to measure the silly ideas that are being pushed at them. There's no foundation. So they're open to almost anything. And frankly, on the surface, many of these ideas sound awful nice. Who can argue with making amends for people in residential schools? Nobody, except that that's not the entire story. So people don't get the entire story, and they also don't push back against the limited stories they get, and worse, they actually embrace them.
Thank goodness for men and women with guts like you. So George Burger, thanks for doing that, and we'll get our history back. 3 minutes. Thank you for watching another analysis of the issues that impact Canada. Trudeau is gone. We have to rebuild the country. We need independent analysis. We need debate. We need thought. So please keep us on the air. Subscribe, donate, become a member, because God knows Canada needs rebuilding.